In today's episode, there's so many people that are doing workshops, webinars. I want to show you the secret strategy to put into each of your webinars to double your conversions at the end to get people to buy. No one wants to do an hour-long webinar and it's crickets. So how do you double your conversions? The only way that a workshop or a webinar works is if a person initially in the beginning stages of it trusts you, but nobody want to listen to you just talk about yourself. So they don't want to hear, hey, so it all started when I was a twinkle in my mother's eye. So what I would do in a workshop is I would dispel the myth and address the false sense of hope they had and show them why it doesn't work. If you're watching this video, you're about to make a whole lot of money. All right, welcome back to another episode of Monetize with Marcus. Now, in today's episode, I really want to give you some strategy or what I would call secrets. You've been on a webinar before, and chances are you've been on some really good ones and some really bad ones. A really bad one where you hope that the person give you your time back. You want to reclaim your time, 1 hour of a pitch fest. Now, if you're on the other side of that, and you're the person that is you're a coach, entrepreneur, chances are you are if you're listening to this, or even if you're a business owner wondering, let's say if you are in the event space business. Most people in the event space business never really put out online workshops to educate people. So I want to talk about, regardless of what business you are, I think online workshops, webinars are a phenomenal way for you to capture an active audience, educate them, share your story, and be able to convert an influx of. You do not have to sell on a webinar. You can convert them into a call that you follow up. So I'll talk about that, what I call a takeaway sale or a reverse sale, where you lead everyone on the webinar throughout into a scheduled call. And from that, this might be great for photographers, videographers. Just imagine if you did an online workshop or a webinar and you educated people. It was fun, exciting, interactive. You answered questions. You could then take that and throughout the webinar, let's just say you were bonusing people access to a follow-up call directly after. You did the webinar at 3 o'clock and you said for the next 4 hours you're taking calls. You can reverse that now and start hopping on the phone with them and doing it that way if you have that type of business model. Or if you have a digital product or course to sell, you can close the sale. But I want to talk about some different structure you should have in place, all right? Now, here's what I think. The only way that a workshop or a webinar works is if a person initially in the beginning stages of it trusts you, but nobody want to listen to you just talk about yourself. So they don't want to hear, hey, so it all started when I was a twinkle in my mother's eye. Then I was always successful. I had a Lambo, this. Like, you ever seen that person that over talks about themselves? Here are a few things that I think should be present in your webinar in a different way. You should educate them about you, but here's the way I think you ought to put it in place. So I think those first few slides in your webinar should be to get buy-in, right? To get people to agree with you, locate themselves. Here's one of the things I do. In the first few slides of my online workshop, I have this model that I walk through, the 4 stages of where entrepreneurs are. They're either in the making money phase, so the making money phase, stacking money phase, the spending money phase, investing money phase. And I explain and break down what each of those phases are. And then I get people to type in the chat whether they're in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. It's a buy-in, right? Initially, right off rip. Now, then I start telling my story in context of that, talking about how when I was in the make money phase, this is typically between $0 to $10,000 a month, right? Where a person's trying to do that. This allows me the opportunity to share my story in context connected to them already locating themselves, getting them to identify with, I've been where you've been. We've got to pause right there because I'm in the giving mood. I decided to offer you a free gift, absolutely free. Now, I tell you all the time about turning your ideas into online income, but how am I going to tell you to do something and not provide the resource for it? There's so many questions that people have online about what should I post? How do I get my engagement up? How do I get people to click the link in my bio, buy from me? What should I sell? Whether it's an ebook, an online course, how much should I charge? How do I launch? How do I do a webinar? You see what I'm saying? So I decided to create a free training and give it to you that you can utilize to learn how to literally take the services that you do or the ideas you have and build a successful online company. Go to www.monetizewithmarcus.com. My gift to you. You're welcome. Right? A great workshop, webinar, thing of that nature allows you the opportunity to teach people and blend your story into it. So I would suggest whatever your framework is, Let's just say you're a photographer. Let's say you are a fitness instructor. In your first few slides, you could literally get people to gauge where they are in their fitness journey. Are you a couch potato? Are you a person who used to be an athlete who's trying to get back into tip-top shape? I want to see who's on here. Just tell me where you are, type 1, 2, or 3. That buy-in, now you can share your story of where you are in it to get that buy-in, that agreement, and then you can reposition it into this next phase. So that was the first phase. I'm trying to tell y'all, these podcasts are really like keynote addresses. They like work, like this is an online workshop. I'm walking you step by step. So you got that framework. You're getting the buy-in. You're transitioning out of that into the first thing I think you ought to have in your online workshop that just doubles your conversions is I think immediately you ought to dispel myths and moves into what I call thought reversal. So here we go. How do you dispel a myth? If they believe that what they're doing is currently working, you're not going to get them to convert and buy something from you. So in order to get them to buy from you, they've got to buy into the same thing you believe they got to believe. In order to get them to buy from you, they have to believe that what you believe, they believe. Now, how are you going to convince them of that? You have to figure out some level of thought reversal, so you got to debunk some myths. You should quit working for free. How did social media hire all of us to be their workforce? We're on the app posting videos, going live, creating reels. We do not get paid when we create content on social media. They do by selling our content to advertisers. But how do you actually build an online business using social media? I want to break it down for you and give you access to it. There's 5 simple steps. I'll tell it to you in a few seconds. Step number 1 is client attraction. I'm going to show you how to actually attract clients that will happily pay you what you're offering. Step number 2, how to capture them. How do you get their emails? How do you get their phone numbers? How do you get them to show up to your event? Be on your Zoom calls. To what I refer to as client dating. It's where you nurture a relationship with people to get them to say yes to whatever you're offering. And I'm even going to show you what type of content to create that gives you brand visibility and brand recognition. I call it content to cash flow. You get access wherever you're watching this video. You'll see it in the description and you'll see it beneath this. Let's get back to the episode. So if I'm in the space of helping people make money online, some of the greatest myths that people have are surrounding, they think when they get a website. So how many times have you before had something you want to sell and the only 2 thoughts in your mind was, I need a logo, I need a website. And you're like, well, yeah, once I get this website. And what happens is you create this imaginary false sense of hope that you put all your hope into the website and you believe that the website's going to solve all your money problems. That as soon as that website get launched, be honest, have you done it before? That in your head, the only thing you thought stood in the way of the money that you wanted and the money that you currently have is a website. So it's an imaginary false sense of hope. So what I would do in a workshop is I would dispel the myth and address the false sense of hope they had and show them why it doesn't work. Why? Because I've got to give them thought reversal into what I believe does work. So when you are doing your workshop, this is what you want to frame early on. You don't want to talk down on people, but you just want to get people to agree like, man, that's true. So you address, let's say I had a slide of top things people do, and I say, thing number 1, get a website. Number 2, get a social media page. Number 3, get a logo. Number 4, and then I just walk through the, and I ask people, how many of you have done 1 or 4 or all of them? They are agreeing in the comments they've done it. Here, I've done the same thing. Let me tell you what you should do instead. That's the thought reversal slide. I'm reversing them from their current belief pattern into the pattern of my belief. So when I get into the educational part of my workshop, now I've got a clear path to teach a new concept that they can buy into and believe, and then offer them to buy it from me. Can you see how powerful that is? So if you're doing workshops and you don't have any of these elements in place to address myths, ideas, limiting beliefs, things of that nature that prevents people from moving forward, and then this thought reversal pivot towards your pattern of thought. If let's say everyone believes that in order to be in shape, they need to, I'm gonna give a very good example. You ever heard somebody tell you don't eat after 8 o'clock or after 9 o'clock? Well, my trainer told me, Marcus, I'm normally up to 3, 4 a.m., right? I'm a late night guy, and then I'm back up like 7-ish, 8 o'clock. If I get a good 4 hours, I'm good, 3, 4 hours. He said, it makes no sense for you to not eat after 9, to not eat after 9 when you're up to 3, working, moving around. Then you don't eat breakfast until the next day at like 10 o'clock. You're starving yourself. Think about it, from 10 o'clock all the way to 10, 12 hours, unless we're doing intermittent fasting. Now, if he wanted to do a slider, if I'm talking about that, I would take this myth that everybody believes. What you doing eating this late? That would be that myth slide. And then I would reverse that into how does it harm your body if you're trying to gain muscle? What would you need instead? And here's what you should do, and here are the foods you should eat. You see how you want to take people in a train of thought of something that they already believe. You then do what I refer to as thought reversal, reversing their thought pattern to what you're going to teach in your actual workshop, and then start teaching it. But you can't teach it until you first address what they already believe. Best example, let's just say, just like my hands, I'm an example guy. If my hands and me holding this water represent someone's mind holding the thought, until I get them to release that thought, I can't give them another thought to hold on to. So that's why it's important in your workshop, before you even think about the educational component of it, before you think about selling anything, you first got to get buy-in for the belief. All right. So if you can just add in those few things, let me give you a quick recap. That first thing is making sure that you're not talking too much about yourself. You want to take your story and you want to find those core things in your story that you can connect to something you can teach them on. Right. Second thing is you want to make sure that you change a new belief pattern and you move them towards this level of thought reversal. Last but not least, you want to actually educate and teach them. Take 3 to 5 core things that they would learn by buying from you, your course, and give those ideas away, but package them into story form. And you, my friend, will have a great webinar, and you can literally double your conversions using that. This has been another detailed episode. I just got to give myself bravo, my brother. This has been phenomenal. I want to hear from you. Let me know if you're getting value out of the podcast. You can hit us up on social media at Marcus Y. Rozier, or you can visit www.monetizewithmarcus.com/podcast. And there's tons of resources there. We'd love to hear from you. See how this is adding value to you. Say, Marcus, I tried out. I ran that live workshop webinar play. It changed the game. I made some money. Cool in the game. I'll see you in the next episode.